This guy is an Islamist. The Democrat Party keep pandering to people like this, and what he's calling for is the destruction of the entire West. The Enlightenment has to go, the Reformation has to go, it all has to go. And the biggest problem, it's not Israel, it's the United States of America, because the United States of America stands in the way of God's will. The Western world stands in the way of God's will. That's what he's talking about when he talks about empire. All these empires have to go. So I want you to listen to this guy. He's in Dearbornistan Heights at the fundraiser and poetry night for Palestine. Of course, there is no Palestine, but nonetheless, we can pretend. Let's take a listen. Go.
The message for the people of Gaza is going to be more of the message that should be sent to the people here, in that they have achieved victory. We haven't done anywhere near enough. And the people here, I promise you, we do feel ashamed. We do feel like we're not doing enough. We do feel like change needs to come, because change must come. And in the form that it must come is that this empire, the American empire, that's been hurting our people since the beginning.
Stop. The American empire is the language of Marxists and Islamists. We're an empire, we're imperialist, we're colonialist, and therefore we must be resisted and destroyed. You understand? We're an empire. Go ahead.
The imperial Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. And inshallah...
Western powers must fall. I have a new book, almost finished. It's going to come out in a couple of months. I get into this whole issue. Not specifically and only this issue, but I address it very strongly. Western powers must fall. Where's he getting that from? You're going to learn about this big time. Go ahead.
Inshallah, they will fall, and my message to the people of Gaza and the oppressed peoples across the world is that there are people here, both young and old, who are going to be willing to fight and are willing to put their lives and everything they can on the line to bring these empires down, because they must come down.
What he means by empires, it could be France, could be Britain, could be Belgium, could be anybody, is the West must fall, the Western Empire. Why does he say that? You're going to learn a lot of this in one of the chapters of the book. It's not the only thing I discuss, but it's a big deal. I also discuss us, the Judeo-Christian value system and moral system. I also discuss the Constitution, separation of powers. This book it's going to be the shortest I've ever written. It's not ultra short. It's the shortest I've ever written, and probably the most profound and important. But I say that about a lot of these books I write, but this one really, I think, is it's just very different. And you'll be the judge. You'll read it and you'll let me know if you choose to. This thing about empires, what they're saying is that the West is in the way of Islam. Now, these are Islamists. Islamists are different than Muslims. They are Muslims, but they are mostly terrorists or terrorist-supporting Muslims. So I make a distinction between the Islamists, who are jihadis, and Muslims, who just want to live their lives. And you'll notice that in Muslim-majority countries, there's this constant bloodlust and bloodletting against those Muslims who don't go along with the Islamists. Is this making sense, Mr. Producer? Mm-hmm. Those Muslims who don't go along with the Islamists are slaughtered, are tortured, are brutalized. We've seen it in Syria, we see it in Yemen, we see it in Lebanon, we see it in non-Arab countries, but still, we see it in Iran. The people who are abused the most by these Islamists are Muslims. And what you're going to find out in basically a couple of pages is that this guy is an Islamist, he's in America, he's in Michigan. The Democrat Party keep pandering to people like this, and what he's calling for is the destruction of the entire West. The Enlightenment has to go, the Reformation has to go, it all has to go. And the biggest problem, it's not Israel, it's the United States of America, because the United States of America stands in the way of God's will. The Western world stands in the way of God's will. That's what he's talking about when he talks about empire. All these empires have to go, because these empires are the ones that are causing us problems, our poverty. You know, the fact that they come between God and us. These Western empires are illegitimate. And this is why I talk about the fusion between the Marxists, who believe the West has to be destroyed, and the Islamists, who believe the West has to be destroyed. The different ends, ultimately, that is, the Marxists, the withering away of the state, the people's paradise, all that BS, and the Islamists, the complete control of mankind, the globe, in every respect and in every way, by them. That's the fusion. I really can't wait until this book comes out. When I get these books done, I get very excited about it because I spend a tremendous amount of time. I spent an enormous amount of time on this book. I had to take off for about 3 months when I had my injury because I couldn't focus. I couldn't sit upright. Truth be told, when they brought me to this desk, I was in a wheelchair. And they had to help put me in a wheelchair and put me behind this desk. And we had to take a lot of breaks so I could quasi-stand up because of the pain. And I owe everything to these guys, David and Josh, as well as other people, or I wouldn't have been doing shows for 3 months. That said, I've gotten into this book, I've gotten into the research, I've gotten into the rational arguments and so forth. I take the information, I need to make sense out of it, I need to draw conclusions from it. I'm very, very excited about this one. So we'll see. But this whole issue about empire, as soon as I heard this guy from Dearbornistan Heights, is what I call them, as soon as I heard it, I knew exactly who he was thinking about. I knew exactly what he read, who he read, and what he's talking about. He's talking about the annihilation of us. I mean the annihilation of us. And people like this have now emigrated into the United States with the open border and are being protected by radical left-wing judges who will not allow us to remove them. Now, in his case, he could have been born here, I have no idea. But the ones who aren't, they're making it extremely difficult to remove them. And so you see the weakness of the West, the weakness of our system in that respect. An open society is vulnerable to tyranny like this.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.